Mitsubishi's Iron Man Kenjiro Shinozuka. Mitsubishi
When you think of Mitsubishi and racing, you probably think about the Lancer Evo.
Now what if I told you that in mid-90s Japan, Mitsubishi wasn't known for the Lancer, but for a boxy SUV that proved the company had what it took to win the most dangerous rally in the world.
This is the Pajero Evolution, and today we're gonna drive it how it was meant to be driven.
You might think you know the story of the Pajero, but you don't. Welcome to Dona.
Whoa! I'm white knuckling right now. Oh!
I love this. All right, before we get into this thing, we gotta shout out Mark at Randolph Motorwork for letting us borrow the car and drive it really hard. I can't believe someone's gonna let us do this. So, Jimmy, this is the Pajero Evolution, or as it's referred to in Japan, I did not know this, the Pajero.
I like it. This thing is so cool. It looks like a race car. It's got all these vents, cool fog lights in the bumper, skid plate.
That's a real aluminum skid plate right there.
And this is all factory too.
Yeah, it came from the factory like this. Dude, little mirror right there.
That's so cool.
To help you parallel park this thing, you can see the little MMC, Mitsubishi Motor Company.
In Japan, you got tight streets.
You got very tight streets. Vents to help evacuate heat. Fresh air comes in through this hood scoop here, evacuates out here, keeps it nice and cool. Before they built this, they had a lot of experience already racing in the Paris-Dakar Rally. They knew what it took to have a truck survive those very harsh conditions. We'll get into that a little later as well. It's got winglets. It looks like it's wearing those cat headphones that streamers do.
Yeah.
You know, like it needs some pink and blue LEDs.
Yeah.
And its gaming chair. Let's look inside and see if the interior matches the performance of the exterior.
It's a little high up to get into it.
Looking around though, this is very 90s Japanese SUV.
We got some cool gauges up here,
Yeah.
oil pressure, battery, a compass.
Looks like you got your four-wheel drive selector down here. This car is an automatic. A lot of desert racing is done with automatics. Like, I mean, our Ranger's automatic. A lot of Baja trucks you see out there are still automatic. I think the long and short of it is this thing's very utilitarian. Also, it has a lot of practical use out in the desert.
So, can we drive it?
Yeah. Dude.
This is so sick. I feel like every bump we hit, we're just able to like spring back up.
Yeah.
Like nothing happened.
The normal Pajero had a solid rear axle in the rear. For this truck, they put independent suspension in the back.
Watch this.
Oh.
I mean, it's just tearing up the sand.
And again, thank you to Mark,
Yeah.
Randolph Motorwork. Thank you so much
much.
for letting us drive it like this. Let me drive, Jimmy. I gotta
Yeah,
drive.
dude, you gotta
Let me
drive this thing.
Okay, here we go, Jimmy. You ready?
Yeah. Oh. Now you've been training to do a little off-roading for a while. Oh God. Oh geez. That Ranger's giving you a lot of confidence. Oh God. Whoa! Oh my God.
Yeah, this thing's great. My first impressions, I love this thing.
Yeah, I can see.
Full throttle, Jimmy. Full throttle. Full throttle. Oh man. Oh, I love this car, Jimmy. Oh, this thing is
thing's awesome.
This thing is awesome. Now, you might expect the story of the Pajero Evolution to be one of a team building exercise where the entire company bands together to chase victory, achieve departmental synergy, and maybe build some shareholder value along the way. And while there are flashes of that here, the story of the Pajero is really the story of Kenjiro Shinozuka.
Thanks to Slime for sponsoring today's video. I promise, I will not be late.
What was that noise?
Nothing?
Nothing? What do you mean nothing?
Roadside help said 5 hours. Nothing I can do. Hold, please.
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 Don't get upset, everything's fine, because I have slime. All I gotta do is connect the Smart Spare Ultra to the tire valve stem, power it up with a 12-volt outlet, turn on the car, turn on the slime, and I'm back on the road in no time.
This is taking forever.
Nope. The Smart Spare Ultra fully repairs a tire in just 10 minutes. Music to my ears.
How much longer?
Done. I told you I wasn't gonna be late. I'll see you soon. When you've got the Smart Spare Ultra from Slime, you'll never lose time. To learn more, click the link below.
Kenjiro Shinozuka joined Mitsubishi in 1971 at 23 years old, working as a salesman and a mechanic, but his real passion was rally racing. During the week, Kenjiro earned his salary working for Mitsubishi, but on the weekends, he pushed the limits as part of Mitsubishi's rally team.
Mitsubishi's Iron Man, Kenjiro Shinozuka. He normally works behind a desk in the Mitsubishi marketing department. He's without doubt the most experienced Japanese rally driver, and he's made an impressive Paris-Dakar debut last year. And to be fair, he does have a strong record of winning things.
Thank you very much. I'm very, very happy because I first time win the World Championship event. I keep cool and also keep the good speed. Very important thing.
In his first 2 years of racing for Mitsubishi, Ken won the All Japan Rally Championship, but nobody in Japan really cared. According to the man himself, at the time, Japan had yet to develop a taste for the sport. Most kids wanted to grow up to be baseball players like Saruharu Oh or sumo wrestlers like Kitanoumi Toshimitsu. Regardless, Kenjiro's early success behind the wheel would pay dividends decades later when Mitsubishi decided to take their new SUV desert racing.
Which brings us back to this handsome guy. Here in the US, Mitsubishi is known for their cars like the Lancer and the Eclipse. But Mitsubishi Motors really got the automotive start building Jeeps after World War II, with their strong reputation for reliable four-wheel drive systems. Through the 80s, Mitsubishi actually took their first generation Pajero to the treacherous Paris to Dakar Rally, scoring several class wins and top 5 overall finishes, but never with a Japanese driver taking the overall win. In the interest of national pride, Mitsubishi wanted to change that.
Mitsubishi Pajero. New Pajero. New Pajero. Mitsubishi, catch the winter.
In 1991, Mitsubishi unveiled the second generation Pajero, which quickly became a bestseller.
Number 1, Mitsubishi Pajero.
One reason for that was the new Pajero's Super Select four-wheel drive system. Customers loved this new feature that allowed the truck to be shifted from two-wheel drive to four-wheel drive while the truck was still in motion. And unlike other 4x4 systems, you could use four-wheel drive all the time, like with an all-wheel drive car. These days, full-time four-wheel drive is a pretty common feature, proving that Mitsubishi was decades ahead of the curve.
So with a dedicated fan base back home, it was time for Mitsubishi to show the world what their new system was capable of. But the question was, how do you turn an SUV that families take to the slopes on the weekend into an animal that eats up the deserts of northern Africa?
Mitsubishi had already achieved Dakar class and overall wins, but in 1997, a new rule changed everything. For the previous 20 years, T3 prototypes ruled Dakar. They were fast, expensive, and not available to the general public. Technically, all of Mitsubishi's previous wins were all with Pajero prototypes. The FIA wanted to give private teams a better shot against the manufacturers, whose budgets were pretty much infinite. So in 1997, manufacturers wouldn't be allowed to enter prototypes, and instead were forced to build what are called T2 cars. Basically, they had to build a car that regular people could actually buy, put a roll cage in them, and see if they could win that way.
Can we switch now?
Fine. Doesn't look like that much dirt. The Mitsubishi team, led by Kenjiro Shinozuka, took everything they learned with the prototypes and applied it to a Pajero production truck. The weight of a nation rested on Kenjiro's shoulders as he traveled to Dakar for the race start. Would 97 finally be the year he did it? It wouldn't be easy, as the formidable Schlescher T3 buggy was much lighter and much faster than the Pajero on the straights.
But finally, 14 years after Mitsubishi's first Dakar entry, Kenjiro Shinozuka became the first Japanese driver to take the overall win at Dakar behind the wheel of the Pajero T2, achieving his lifelong dream and making him a national hero.
And there joins Kenjiro Shinozuka, the Japanese driver, 48 years old. And what an event it has been for the Japanese.
Because I wait 12 years, I wait a long time to the win, so now super feeling.
Mitsubishi also secured a 1-2-3-4 finish, an absolute triumph for the company.
But that truck is not this truck, technically. This truck right here is the homologation Pajero Evolution for sale to the public. The Pajero is based on a short wheelbase truck. The front suspension is carried over from the prototype with 9.5 inches of up and down travel. Since the truck is almost 5 inches wider than the stock body, the wide body was absolutely necessary. Deserts are hot places, and these scoops breathe cool air into the engine, while these vents expel hot air from the engine bay.
In the back, the rear suspension is bespoke to the Evolution. Mitsubishi called it the
All-Road Multi-Link Independent Suspension for Evo,
or Army for short, and it provides 10.5 inches of travel. Up here you'll notice the vertical winglets, which are intended to reduce drag and increase high-speed stability. It is a short wheelbase after all. Underneath the car, the aluminum skid plates protect the precious running gear from rock and other desert hazards. The Super Select system is pretty similar to the normal Pajero, except for the limited slip differentials in the front, back, and center. Power takes the path of least resistance, so having these diffs means better traction on loose surfaces. It also makes sliding much easier to control.
Under the hood, the Pajero is powered by the 3.5-liter 6G74 V6 engine, cranking out the gentleman agreed upon 276 horsepower, but with a curb weight of 4,300 pounds and a 0 to 60 of 7.6 seconds, the real number, Jimmy, is probably more around 300. A critical factor towards achieving that number is MyVec,
Mitsubishi Innovative Valve Timing Electronic Control System.
Mitsubishi's variable valve timing technology. The valves are hollow and carry less inertia at the 6,500 RPM redline, while titanium valve guides ensure reliability in harsh conditions. Speaking of which, temperature management was a top concern, with a 13-stage oil cooler keeping the lubrication system at optimal levels. I mean, all in all, this right here is the same truck that won Dakar, minus the roll cage and racing seats, and you could buy it from a dealership so long as you lived in Japan. All right, Jimmy, at the top we said that this is a car you've wanted for a long time. Does it live up to your expectations?
I mean, I've been blown away all day. This thing is awesome. Yeah, this holds up. This has so much character. I mean, the winglets on the back, it's so unique.
If you want one, Jimmy, if this has sold you, you better get moving. They only built 2,500 Pajero homologation cars. There are a few hundred extra just race car only. I don't think they were street legal. All the cars were built at Pajero Manufacturing over there in Sakaicha. That factory was like driver of the economy over there. So Sakaicha is named Pajero City.
Whoa.
This is like a special car. There's not a lot of them around, but it's also, it can back it up. It's capable. There are a few cars I've driven, after you get out, you're like, this is special. You know, cars like Dodge Viper, R34, all the Skyline GTRs. This is where it's meant to be. And I'm so glad that we were able to drive it in its natural habitat. I don't want this drive to end. The Pajero Evo became an instant classic, but somehow things only got better from there. From 2001 to 2007, the team achieved an astounding 7 consecutive Dakar victories, cementing Mitsubishi's legacy as the all-time desert racing great.
After his 1997 victory, Kenjiro raced 5 more times with Mitsubishi, then did 5 more campaigns with Nissan, marking 22 consecutive trips to Dakar. Kenjiro had plans to make 1 more trip to Dakar in his first Pajero Evo. Unfortunately, it would not come to pass.
So I think it's only fitting that before we leave this desert, we give the Pajero one more rib.
Let's do it.
This one's very you, Kenjiro. Ready, Jimmy?